You already started.
So we just watched Godzilla multiplied by Kong, or whatever that title is.
Divided by, yeah.
Rounded off.
Mm-hmm. Carry the 3.
I fucking love this movie.
No,
oh my
it was
God,
great.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it. You can turn your light on.
No, it's
I just have
alright.
like 8 chins,
it's fine.
so I can't.
It's okay.
I didn't
More
think you
chins
like
than a
light
Chinese
chins.
phone book.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
It
so
looked better with
we
all look better.
it's fine. We'll all look better. They tell me I'm dark and handsome, but it's dark I'm handsome.
I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
The lighting
I'm
is
gonna-
so unkind in this car.
Gonna go home and cry in the shower
I
like
didn't mean
fucking
it like that.
Jodie Foster and The Accused. Like, somebody show me the pinball machine. I don't know.
It's just I feel like we're being interrogated.
So I didn't know what to expect about this one. Right. Obviously, I'm always excited for a new Godzilla movie to come out. The trailers were not interesting. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think they were.
King Kong's got like a Thanos glove now, and they're fighting a big red monkey.
Right.
And I was like, all right. And then we went and saw. Well, first we went and had. You guys had a lot of cheese.
Yeah.
We had a big plate of queso. They had so we ordered this big thing of queso.
Oh no, it'll go
That's
back off.
okay.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
You can see us.
Yeah, it'll go off on its own.
We ordered a big thing of queso, and then they garnished it with like 6 chips, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, literally, there was like
Yeah,
6 chips in there.
And a bucket of cheese.
Yeah, it was like a cauldron of cheese and like a smattering of chips. And you were like, "Can I have some more chips?" And the girl's like, "Sure." Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't
And that
care.
took forever.
Yeah. So we saw it in the 40X. So we're gonna be moving all over the
Great way to
place.
see it. Great way to see it.
No, oh yeah, I know, I agree actually, because in the past, which other one did we do the 40X on? Or was that?
A Meg too.
That's right. That was a
Yeah,
lot of fun too. You know what?
Yeah,
There's a
This was better, but
but you know what?
Meg too.
This and that had a very similar sense of we're just gonna throw shit at the wall because it's fun. You know. Yeah, and then when we got to the theater, I got to sit next to the old man with the snow shovel from Home Alone.
So I don't know if you guys have ever been to the 40X, but the seats, they're sectioned like 4 seats per section. And so I'm like, okay, I got 3 seats, so no freak is gonna buy a random seat next to us because there's plenty of other seats. I mean, it was crowded, but there were still other seats.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
We get there, and the guy from Home Alone is sitting there. I felt so bad. I'm like, do you want
We
me
had
to
the
switch
salt
seats
bucket with the
you?
bodies in it, you
Yeah,
know.
and then he's just looking at us like, I got friends now. I got friends.
So I didn't even know they were going to engage the 40X like in the trailers. It's usually like takes a while. So I'm grabbing my fucking drink, which was $15, and I don't want to spill a drop of it.
Yeah.
But as you and I were like talking and we're enjoying ourselves, he just keeps going. And I'm like,
well, you didn't have to sit here, asshole.
you're alone on a Thursday night.
And you're like 60 watching this movie. Like...
Fuck you. You should have joined in with us. You know, you could have been fucking fist bumping and shit.
Right, and don't get me wrong, I go to movies by myself.
Oh, me
but
too.
Like, I wouldn't have the audacity to buy a ticket right next to 3 other people in a little 4-seater in an amusement park ride at a theater.
Do you think like maybe he didn't know it was one of those, and then when the seat started moving, he was like, "My pills."
He's having Vietnam flashbacks.
The fact that they give you drinks on a ride.
Yeah.
With no lids.
And I said that to you when I leaned over. I was like, how do we fucking invent the drink lid?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they do that so you can't leave the theater with it and get in your car and be like, woo.
Yeah. So I'm gonna write a letter.
Yeah,
but somebody needs to do something.
The poor guy next to me, I had a full beer and I put it on the and then the trailer comes and it's like, and he got doused. He got up and left and like was gone for like 10 minutes and comes back. I don't know how he dried himself off.
He's like, I got booze all over me. My wife's gonna know. No, this was a fucking lot of fun. It was definitely the best of the MonsterVerse movies so far.
Absolutely. And I really liked Skull Island was my favorite up to now, but I like this better than Skull Island.
Yeah. It does not take itself seriously.
Like at all.
The writing is actually good.
There's emotion in it. Like, I actually
like,
felt something for the little deaf girl. You know,
they narrowed the characters down, so we don't have that Millie Bobby. I can't stand Millie Bobby Brown. No
I kept
offense if
calling
you like
her. I kept calling her Millie Vanilli Bobby Brown. And she doesn't. She believes the Earth is flat.
Yeah, that's
so
a
you
whole
know,
weird
Which
thing.
actually raises my opinion of her.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
At least that makes her more interesting. But
Well,
they narrowed it down to a nice set of actors, and great comedic performance by Dan Stevens.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, only having 3 or 4 humans,
who was the
like
other
main
guy?
humans, was a good idea.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I didn't have time to look this up. The other guy looked like Barney from Silence of the Lambs, but there's no.
No,
way
it's
that's him,
not.
right?
He's way
Is that
older.
movie?
Yeah, this dude's in. He's in the Child's Play remake. He's the neighbor. He was in Joker.
All right. Well, you could Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, he could be Barney.
Maybe he could have been Barney.
You know. He could be Barney in the new one.
Yeah.
You know.
If they do a Flintstones, again.
Exactly. Can't be any worse than Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah,
in it.
right?
I was like, she could do the voice, but she looks nothing like it. Like, what are we doing? You know.
Yeah.
And then she was the only one who took the money to do the McDonald's ads. Remember when they redid all the McDonald's?
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever had the McRib.
I've only had that once in my life because it was it's like Kiss where they keep having farewell tours.
Yeah.
And it was the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten in my life.
I
have high tolerance for McDonald's, but
I hadn't had it since the Flintstones, and I totally forgot what it tasted like. And I remember the Cinema Snob badgered me into trying it, and we got McRibs, and I can't eat onions, so I had to take all the onions off.
You couldn't get it without the onion, or you
didn't
know that.
I didn't know that it had onions on it. I don't know.
It tastes like, if you've never had it, tastes like a wet sponge. Somebody took the lowest quality barbecue sauce and put it on there with soggy pickles and some onions.
I read a tweet that said it's the deadbeat dad of the of the fast food world. It shows up every so often, just gives it to you, and then leaves again.
Yeah.
So so we've got the little deaf girl. We've got Christine
Chubbuck.
Christine Chubbuck.
You got a cute little new hairdo.
I like her a lot, and she's a great actress, and I feel like she's too good for these movies, but she also adds a level of gravitas to them.
Yeah, she doesn't phone it in. She really gave her all.
And her role was really hard because she was the person who had to constantly explain what the monsters were doing.
In a very serious tone.
And like she was the exposition, but she did, like, kept you okay.
And then you
picture like practicing that from her bathroom mirror.
So you got the podcaster guy, and then who's not Barney.
I'm sorry, I hope that isn't racist, but he did look like Barney from Silence.
He does,
yeah. He did.
But he was in the last one.
Okay, but I don't know.
And I swore he went to the Middle Earth with Millie Vanilli Bobby Brown.
Some black actors, white people, some black people do look alike. Like some white people look alike.
The dudes. I always say, what was the Guillermo del Toro giant monster movie? Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
The 2 white dudes in that movie had the exact same head. You know? Or like when parents used to come into the Wayne and say, "Have you seen my daughter? She's 16 and has blonde hair." I was like, "You want to narrow it the fuck down, dude?
Right.
They all look the same." You know?
But I'll never live the Black Barney thing down ever.
No, you won't. You're gonna get a letter from that actor, and he's gonna be like, "How fucking dare you?"
He'll be like, "Thank you for mentioning me. I need work."
Who else? You had the cool Australian veterinarian.
Yeah, Dan Stevens.
Yeah,
who was so hot.
Who was dressed like Nicolas Cage in Raising Arizona the whole time.
And his name was Trapper. I'm like, he's like Trapper John M.D.
Yeah.
But
right when you see, like, because when we meet Kong, he's old, he's hurt, he's fucking tired, he's got a broken, like, diseased tooth. So right off the bat, you have like a musical, interlude, and then he fucking drops in to do dental work on King Kong, and I'm like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. All right, this is so stupid.
Ridiculous.
Let's go. So there was there's a signal being sent out from, so there's the hollow earth, then there's the hollower earth, and then they find the hollowest earth while they're in there, and something's calling out for help down there, and there's a big fucking red monkey called the Scar King, who's got beef from the past with Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
So they send a little team down there with like a dude who's not Bob Hoskins,
Mm-hmm.
and then wackiness ensues.
There's a lot of wacky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy who looks like Bit Boy.
Yeah, he got eaten by a
If
tree.
you know who Bit Boy was. He gets eaten by a tree in this movie.
I think this movie definitely needs to be nominated for special effects.
Yeah.
Academy Award. I know it's early in the year, but this definitely deserves some.
Even
Academy
all the
Award.
close-ups on
Love.
Kong and stuff like that, I was like, what? That's what King Kong looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's what because again, I go back to like, it was the audience that we were in really was digging it.
Mm-hmm.
We
That
were
made it
worried.
more fun too.
Yeah,
it
because
was
we
pretty
were
crowded and everybody was into it.
we were worried pretty early
Mm-hmm.
on that this was going to be a I haven't had enough drinks to deal with this audience movie throughout the trailers.
There's one lady, like, I got up to go to the bathroom before it started, and like she had like a blanket and her shoes were like her bare feet were up in the seat of her shoes. And I'm like, you're not at your house. You know, and then we had, and it was funny during the trailer, somebody in like another language was sitting in front of us, and they were like, and Newt goes, exactly.
They were really excited for that movie too, you know. They shared the same feelings as me on Beetlejuice 2.
Yes.
But yeah, so
it was during the trailer, Beetlejuice.
yeah. But yeah, no, the special effects were great, and I love all the different monsters. There was
Oh,
it was
so
a
good. So good.
well established world. It doesn't take itself too seriously, even when it is. Even when he's like, since we're throwing shit at the wall, I'm gonna make this even crazier. When that dude leaves and then comes back with all the fucking pterodactyl things, and I was like, this is great, you know. Great musical cues.
Oh yes, Kiss.
You got
I Was
Kiss
Made
in
for
there,
Loving You,
yeah,
Baby.
and I was
love
just
that
like,
song. But the way it comes in is hilarious.
Again, yeah, and I was like, if you would have told me when I was 10 years old, I said to them in the theaters, if you would have told me when I was 10 years old that a giant orangutan was riding a ice dragon to Kiss, I'd have been like, sign me the fuck up, dude.
Right?
Hook it to my veins. I've been... Obviously, I discovered King Kong and Godzilla when I was a really, really little kid, and I've loved all of these movies my entire life, even the really bad ones. There's something magical about the fact that like all these years later, we can have two movies in the same year as polar opposite as Godzilla -1 and King Kong vs. Godzilla, where that one is very much goes back to the original 1950s Gojira, and then this one is so much like the late Showa era films, where it's just colorful and silly. And
some of it felt, the special effects looked like some of the early 70s ones.
Yes.
Which I thought was pretty.
and I think that goes too with the color choices, in not having it be gloomy and fighting in the rain and trying to be like a Zack Snyder thing. And I love Zack Snyder, but you know, and then you have fights up on land where people are running and screaming, and you know, you got to fucking fight at the pyramids.
Well, they did it good. It wasn't too gloomy. They have some scenes where they're fighting like cloudy skies, but because Godzilla lights up, it looked cool.
And we were talking before about how everybody has to find agendas and everything.
Yes, because Newt had done a video a few weeks ago, which I thought was really funny, because he was saying, I agree that, you know, and I feel this way, that the past, you know, maybe 8 years or so, like people, like the movies have been heavy-handed with the lectures. And it's really been a drag, and it's dragging cinema down.
Yeah.
But there's also the other side. People find one little thing like that, they're pushing some gay agenda on.
Like
that.
you were saying about Lisa Frankenstein.
Lisa Frankenstein at the end, the Frankenstein character is wearing rainbow suspenders, and I thought maybe because Zelda Williams directed, I thought maybe that was a tribute to her dad, or just the fact that a lot of fucking people were those in the 80s. When
we
it
went
took
and
place,
saw
you know?
went and saw Skate Town USA, and there was dudes wearing it who were like fucking getting chicks. They're pulling pussy and stuff like that. I was like, look how dudes used to dress.
It's a gay agenda. I'm like, oh my god, get a fucking life, dude.
It's the whole thing. It was like the Chappelle thing where they're talking to Eddie Murphy's brother about like in the club, dudes who dressed like really effeminate were the ones who got all the girls back in the day, you know? But no, that's why I leaned over to you and I was like, oh, pink lasers, Godzilla's trans, because there literally is a dude, and he got mad at me because I talked about this in my Godzilla video, I think it was, that he said, do you think they did that because they're trying to push a trans agenda? I was like, well, technically Godzilla's a woman, is a girl in a lot of versions too.
Well, you don't see his penis.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you don't see any of the
You
monkeys'
don't see
penises
any
as well. Yeah.
penises,
It's all this. They're all trans.
Yeah, they're
There you go. Thanks, Hollywood, pushing this agenda on me. And they brought a baby monkey into it. Now they're gonna push their influence on that baby monkey.
right.
I fucking loved
That was so.
the baby monkey scene where like there's like a little baby Kong. And at one point when he's fighting like the bad Kongs, he just fucking uses the baby as a weapon. And I leaned over to you, I was like, all right, this is the best movie ever.
That was astounding. I didn't think they'd go as hard as they did with that. I
Yeah.
mean, he's like wham wham with the, I was like, whoa. All right.
So right there, I was like, all right, I'm in. When a big monkey uses a little monkey as a weapon, you got my money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I went in with very low expectations, and I was just having a great fucking time. Like, wow, they finally got one of these right. One of these modern American made ones right, you know? Because
there was a lot I liked about I like Adam Wingard, obviously, as a director. I've going to the VHS series and all that kind of stuff. And it's cool that they give him a big franchise like this. And you could tell that there's a lot of weird idiosyncrasies in this that wouldn't come from cookie cutter corporate. You know, they're letting him be weird, which I appreciate. And then you get to like once the because Godzilla keeps fighting other monsters and powering up because he's preparing for something, not to become trans. Well, he's transcending, you know. But yeah, and then when they do finally fight, the audience fucking cheered. Like I haven't seen that in a movie in a long time where like you see the scene and everybody in the audience, old people, young people, everybody was fucking clapping and I was like, that's awesome, man. That's why these things are so fucking cool. And it just reminds me of being a little kid and watching Saturday matinee Godzilla movies like Godzilla versus the Smog Monster and Godzilla versus Megalon and all that kind of stuff.
If you were a kid, you had to be having a great time watching that.
Oh yeah, again, like if this movie would have come out when I was a little kid, this probably would have been the greatest movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
I definitely think so. It's definitely it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, and it's really all you can ask for this stuff is just like, because I got to imagine that conceptually. Something versus something. Oh yeah, why wouldn't you do that? That's Alien versus Predator, Batman versus Superman, Freddy versus Jason, and then you go, well, what's the story? And that's where I felt the last one worked in the scenes where it was like a splash page in a comic book, but a lot of the other stuff didn't quite work for me. But this one I felt untethered from all of that, was able to just go and be its own thing. And yes, it's fucking stupid, and yes, the logic of it makes no sense, and some of the dialogue you're just like, okay, but like if you don't find joy in this, you're awful. Because you said yourself, you're like, there was a lot of joy watching this movie, and that's the thing. It's like, I know that they're big fucking CGI ones and zeros on screen, but like, I genuinely, in my soul, love Godzilla and love King Kong like they're members of my family. They've been there for me when members of my family weren't there for me, you know? So to see it on the big screen and reveled and all that, it's really cool. It's really special, and I hope it makes a fuck ton of money, and I hope it just allows now for because I think King Kong and Godzilla, when they're running together like they're Rocky Balboa and Creed,
that was great.
And I'm just like, I'm in, dude. Let's go,
Especially because yesterday I saw Ghostbusters with a friend, and I didn't have any joy. I mean, there were some parts that were a little funny, and some of the special effects were good, but it was just this very like, oh, we're getting old, and we're gonna die soon. Like the whole thing had this weird tone of like.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
Yeah. Well, that's like, every movie anymore.
This was a comedy.
Indiana Jones and Star Wars. It's always about like, we're so old now.
Yeah, there's like no humor. Like a lot of these movies had the humor. I especially that one, but it was just weird to me. It just had this kind of depressing tone. I mean, there were some fun parts.
I liked it. I want to see it again.
I didn't hate it, but I just sat there. It was like, where's the?
I feel like a lot was cut out though.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, there's a ton of shit in the trailers. It's not in the movie, and I feel like there's wholesale scenes that are missing just for brevity sake.
And we were saying Ernie Hudson looks amazing.
Yeah, he's almost like 80 years old.
Yeah,
wow.
and he it's always a joy to see him. But I don't know, like, and they got Annie Potts in the suit, but she didn't really have much to do in the suit. I just don't know what they were doing, and I'm surprised they got Bill Murray at all, because I remember he would it took years to get him back to do any Ghostbusters stuff.
Yeah.
But now he's like, oh yeah, I'll be a part of it. But now it's like, it sucks now. Why do you want to be a part of it?
Yeah, he had a couple good lines, but I mostly I was happy that, because I said it in my review too, like, because Ernie Hudson was the only one who was doing the conventions, and he's in the suit, and everybody's asking him for 40 years, are you gonna do Ghostbusters 3? And now he gets to be the Nick Fury of it, and I feel that's very well earned on his part, because he carried the torch for so long. And then also I felt like it was a Dan Aykroyd movie as well, and all the ghost shit he's talking about, I was like, that probably wasn't scripted. Dan Aykroyd's just a fucking weirdo. They probably just let him just talk, you know?
He's real into this shit, like real into it.
Well, apparently he's like a descendant of the people who started the spiritualist movement, like the ones who the two sisters in northern New York who spoke to Mr. Splitfoot or whatever, like the first like seances or whatever in America. So he's apparently related to them. I thought that was kind of neat. I stood in line for like 3 hours one time to get him to sign my crystal vodka.
Did he do that?
Yeah, he did. Nice. Yeah, so I have a bottle of crystal vodka. I remember
he was on those tours, but I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to get it by the time. It just seemed like the lines would be
I met him and then Ron Jeremy the week after that when he was signing his rum. One of those bottles is displayed at my house. The other one... Sorry, Dan.
You regifted the other
one. Pass it on. It's like the fucking sex disease and it follows, you know? I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely like this. I thought that was fun. I really liked the score. I thought that, like, kind of... You said it was like a Tangerine Dream kind of vibe to it. I don't know, you can't go wrong with giant monsters punching each other in the mush, man. And then when Godzilla King Kong gets the fucking gauntlet, and like it's all like badass, like it's a Michael Bay movie, you know?
It was cool.
Yeah, it was. And I thought that, you know, the human characters were a nice blend. You went further into this world, and I liked all like the other like plane of existence with all the like the weird cosmic stalactites and stalagmites and stuff like that. And I don't know, I thought it was visually appealing.
Yeah, I liked the monsters were like really expressive.
Yeah,
like there's a part where the bad guys are picking on Kong and laughing at him. I'm like, that's like, you would never see that in like any movie, to think to have monsters laughing at each other.
No, exactly.
But it totally works, and you're like, I didn't think how stupid it was. I believe that they were laughing at it.
Because you have to go such long chunks without dialogue, and so much of it is done through body language and stuff like that. And at no point was I ever like, oh my god, like this isn't like Chewbacca's family in the Star Wars holiday special, you know?
Yeah.
Each one had a lot of personality, you know?
And I stayed awake through the whole movie.
There you go, yeah.
We went to a late show, so it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we got because I worked, and then I met you guys over there at the to get food in the Yacht House, and then we came over here, and we were able to still get drinks and stuff like that. And but Lana, you were disappointed. We saw all of the popcorn buckets.
Yes,
and there's one missing.
Talk about this. Okay, so I want to make Newt and I are going to design a Civil War popcorn bucket.
Alex Garland's Civil War is coming out.
And it's going to have, like, the top of the bucket's going to be, like, the torch of the Statue of Liberty with the snipers. But there's, like, a hole you can stick your dick in. And I was already preparing, like, I want to go see this movie in, like, on, like, the middle of the afternoon, a weekday, and, like just laugh maniacally, like, through the whole thing to freak out the other 6 people who will be in the theater. And then make, like, wear a raincoat, make slappy noises and shit.
Well, I told you, last night I went to go see Immaculate, and there was 4 of us in the theater. And holy shit, I enjoyed that movie so much more than the other people around me. The last 15 minutes of that movie are just sheer madness, okay? And I am laughing hysterically at the movie, and the people behind me were just gasping in horror at what was on the screen and my reaction to it. And it reminded me of when Metz and I... Did you see Barbarian?
I haven't seen
the Justin Long movie. So Metz and I came here one night. We met up after we both got done work. We saw a really late show. And there was like 7 or 8 other people in there. And they went into it thinking it was going to be like, you know, like Saw or something like that. And it was not that. And the 2 of us were laughing hysterically and like just whooping it up. And the people around us kept moving. So in the darkness, we could see people separating from us because they're like, well, those 2 are clearly insane.
Well, so sounds like a few years back, the Colonial Theater and their Sunday Classics, they showed Clockwork Orange, which I love. And I went there, and I'm all excited. I'm up in the balcony with my little like popcorn bucket, my candy. I got my little, everything spread like a little picnic. And there was a couple who were sitting a few seats down, and I mean, they only had like 40 something. 50 years to Google this movie to see what the content
exactly.
But I guess they didn't. So she got all upset.
Well.
My favorite, one of my favorite scenes is when Malcolm McDowell's fighting a lady with a giant ceramic dildo.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing hysterically. And then this girl gets up and she's charging out there and all mad. And her boyfriend's following behind her doing the pageant wave. Like, sorry. And then so years later, I'm friends, with Bob. I'm friends with Bob. And he would pick the movies at the time, and one of the anniversaries was coming up, and people were asking to show it again. He's like, I want to, but I can't do it in the afternoon. I'm going to do it at night, because the last time we showed it on Sunday afternoon, like, we had so many complaints. No matter how, and he's like, we put a lot of warnings on it. And I was like, I was there on the front lines.
What do you have back home to play your fuzzy warbles on, little sister? It's one of my, it's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
But again, it's like people, you had 50 years to see what people get mad about, like, oh, spoilers, dude. And I'm like, no, stop it.
Right.
We're past that point now.
Right.
Everything in these, everything in these movies, like, I can't hear Sing in the Rain without thinking of that movie. I don't think about Sing in the Rain, Babylon tried to give you a different connotation of, but no, it's always going to be Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. I mean, I did love Babylon, but not like Clockwork Orange.
That poor director's locked in movie jail forever now.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I feel like that's his 1941.
Yeah.
But
1941's incredible.
I love that movie.
I know that movie.
I feel like some of these guys, they have like a few hits, and then they make one big budget disaster, and it's like, they're done.
Yeah, because the guy who did It Follows did Under the Silver Lake after that, and then he was locked up in movie jail until now. He's doing something, but he was like, and that movie was fine. Andrew Garfield, it's interesting, it's weird, but it's like when they let Gus Van Sant do the Psycho remake, and it's just like, you know this is a bad idea, right? Like, it's the hubris of these directors who are just like, well, clearly I can. It's his Heaven's Gate, How many horses are we gonna blow up today? Like, we need an opulent roller skating scene.
Right.
I've still never seen that movie all the way through.
Heaven's Gate. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. There's no fucking way. And they're like, oh, there's a director's cut. I'm like, no, it's a fucking piece of shit. It's a fucking dusty, hard to see, hard to hear the audio, like, it just sucks.
And it literally killed Hollywood.
Yeah, it did. I read, there's a book, oh shit, I forgot the name of it, but I read it years ago, but it's about the making of Heaven's Gate. If I can remember the name, I'll tell you next time. But it's pretty funny. Another one that was, it didn't destroy Hollywood, but another great bomb was Bonfires of Vanity.
Yeah.
Because whenever a bomb comes out, like whenever I'm reading nobody reads papers anymore. But I remember, like, in my youth, like, looking at the weekend section, and immediately when something like that came out, and it just got things like that would get panned, I would call for him, like, we gotta see this tonight.
Yeah, because it's gonna be gone soon.
Yeah, and it's gonna be awful. We gotta experience this.
There was when Exhumed Films did a show in Philly. I don't remember where, but it was Goblin was there that night. And when Crystal and I were still together for my birthday one year, she got me VIP tickets to see Goblin. It was the first time they were in America. Meet and greet with all that kind of stuff. But in the other room, they were doing a trailer mix, and one of the ones was for Heaven's Gate. It was a special screening at a theater in New York because they had pulled the movie and then re-edited it, but that screening never happened. So it was just like, they were like, no, this is a disaster. So that was one of the dudes who was a programmer, was like, that trailer, that event never happened. The studio had no faith in the movie, and they were just like, nope, which is too bad, because I love Chris Christopherson, Christopher Walken at that time, but
I love The Deer Hunter, which was the other movie the director made, and I think that was a great movie. But I'm like, how'd you go from Deer Hunter to this? Yeah. But nobody's reining him in. Somebody had to be reining him in on The Deer Hunter.
Yes.
And
well, that's like George Lucas, like on the original Star Wars movies compared to the prequels, because the prequels, Phantom Menace is coming back out again.
Stop trying to make Phantom Menace happen.
Yeah, it's like fetch.
They always start with that one, and they don't understand why it's a bad starting point.
And then they don't re-release the other two.
They should like Benjamin Button it and make you watch them all in reverse.
I would be more for that. I would definitely be more for that. There is a great movie from the 80s, I think captures the essence of these young directors who have these hits and then have a huge bomb, but it was called Irreconcilable Differences.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. But in that movie, Ryan O'Neal, who's a director, he marries Shelley Long. And they have this great relationship, and he's a director, she's a writer, so they write this movie together. And they have this great relationship. They start making it because they can't, like Sharon Stone, young Sharon Stone gets cast as the lead, and he ends up falling in love with her, and then he dumps Shelley Long, and the success goes to his head, and blah, blah, blah. And then his next movie, because at this point he's like got too much success, too much money, too much cocaine, so he wants to make this musical version of Gone with the Wind called Atlanta. And there is a funny, even though I think she's batshit crazy, Sharon Stone does one of the greatest scenes where she's Scarlett O'Hara, but at this point the success has gone to her head. She's not the innocent starlet anymore now. She's just all coked out, and she's doing coke in the trailer, or in her trailer. She comes storming out looking all disheveled, and she has to sing a song about the burning of Atlanta, and she's all coked up. And it's one of the funniest scenes, and the movie tanks, and his career is over. And then Shelley Long writes a book about how he did her wrong, and then that makes a fortune. She gets back on top. But it's I just think that kind of sums up some of these follow-ups to
it's an incredible, terrible movie about making movies. You ever see The Lonely Lady with Pia Zadora?
I fucking love that movie. And
Why?
Two of the most
That's the one with the garden hose?
Yes. Ray Liotta rapes her with a garden hose.
The garden hose was
I saw it when I was way too young to see that.
Yeah, me
the
too.
garden hose. Me too. I
It
saw
used
it
to be on.
12.
It used to be on Prism, all the time.
Yes, Prism.
Yep.
Viva la Prism. That was on there, and I remember just being like, "What? I didn't even know you could do that with a garden hose," because I'm not watching this.
And then she dates his dad.
Yeah.
And he can't get hard, and she starts. It's so, she's like a famous screenwriter, but at some point, like she's like hooking for like a dude who hangs out in like pool halls.
Yeah. And then at the end, she wins an Oscar for like best screenplay.
I'm not the only one who had to fuck their way to the top.
I didn't even know screenplay. I knew actresses had to fuck their way to the top. I didn't know screenplay writers had to. But then she also did a movie with Stacy Keach called Butterfly.
Butterfly, yeah.
Which I think, I haven't seen that one in a long time, but I think it turns out like that's her dad
Yep.
or her stepdad, and they're banging each other. I love Pia
It's like Old
Zadora.
Boy.
I fucking love her.
Yeah,
it's the original
she's
Old
great.
Boy.
She's great in you ever see Invasion of the Rock Aliens?
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie.
Pia Zadora do fall. I was Jermaine Jackson and Pia Zadora together.
At last, together.
Finally, that people have been asking for it for so long. But no, that's another one that just has a cast, and it feels like they just picked names out of a hat. You know, it's like the fucking dude from Nightbreed, and then what's her face from Harold and Maude, and then fucking Michael Berryman, and it's just like, did you just throw darts at a board and that's how you cast your movie? That's like The Dark Knight. It's like we've got Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, okay, the dude who played Batmanuel on The Tick, Anthony Michael Hall, Eric Roberts. It's like, I don't think Chris Nolan's okay.
The Rock Aliens was that Jermaine Jackson thing wasn't even part of the movie. Like,
No,
they finished the movie, and then she went on to make a video with Jermaine Jackson, and the producer's like, "You got to stick in the movie." Like, and the people making the movie like, "All right."
Yeah, holy shit, that movie is incredibly terrible.
The garden hose, I was terrified of that. And then the other night when we saw Scanners in the lobby, the guy was selling posters. I went for Vice Squad, and that's one of my favorite all-time movies. But that one introduced me to the Pimp Stick, and I was terrified of that fucking movie. Like that Ramrod was terrifying. The Pimp Stick was terrifying.
Wings Hauser, man.
He was so scary. He was like if the Terminator was a flesh and blood person. Yeah. That's what he was.
But then like all the like B movies that he did after that where he was so drunk, like Getaven and stuff like that, like he's so fucking drunk, I don't know how he gets through these movies that he's in, you know? Yeah. But he's like David Carradine. Like David Carradine would like he's in that like future one where he's got like a gauntlet or something like that, like King Kong.
Is that the one who knocked you over? Who died in the closet?
Yeah.
He died. Dave was mad because we were at one of those conventions, and he just like, what? Tell you, go ahead.
No, we weren't even at like in the like main convention. We were just walking out of like a store or something, and I guess he was at the convention, and he's walking by, and he just like plows right through me, like. There's plenty of room. It wasn't like a tight thing. It was like plenty of room, and he's like, bam!
Out of the way! I got autoerotics to asphyxiate.
Anyway, he didn't last much longer after that. That's all I gotta say.
Gave
And when
himself
he
the
died-
old Michael Hutchinson.
When he died, Dave was very silent.
I never wish someone dead, but
It's like Bill got killed. Yeah, no, that I don't know how we got that far off. Godzilla
always
versus
do, but
King
it's fun.
Kong versus
Go
Biazadora.
see this movie, yeah, right? And the rock.
Oh,
people.
and Mothra's in it.
Mhm.
And Mothra
Beautiful,
is beautiful.
beautiful special effects.
Yep.
on Mothra.
she looked
Oh my
great.
god.
I thought that she was very underutilized in the other one that she was in, and I thought they did a great job with her hair. She's one of my favorite characters.
She had purpose. It
Yeah,
made
and
sense.
just absolutely beautiful in design, and again to see Godzilla, King Kong, and Mothra on screen together, I was like, be still my fucking heart, man. Like it made me very happy. So yeah,
I say definitely see it this weekend. See it in 4DX, see it in IMAX, see whatever you can. If you have kids, take them. This is going to be a really fun monster movie. for
don't bring the
kids.
garden hose.
Don't bring or the pimp stick.
Yeah, or the pimp stick.
Oh, but I wanted to.
Oh, I was just saying, I think all the monkeys in the tribe of Kongs should have a sitcom because they so much personality.
They are, yeah.
They'd be like the wacky one.
Apes instead of friends, like.
Well, I was watching our Scanners review, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
However, I wanted to apologize to you because I was so drunk in it. I was yelling over everything dude said, like I was one of those, like I was one of those bitches on The View, you know, like I was Joy Beharing the shit out of dude. So I apologize. I'm
No,
so
no, it's
sorry.
fine. I got home and I just cut myself. Yeah, I bleed just to know I'm alive.
Well, we're trying to get Nude out to see. I was gonna say Race with the Devil.
Yeah,
Late Night
I've
with the
watched
Devil,
Race with the
'cause
Devil.
Dave and I saw it and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I think that we should try to see it next
No,
week if possible.
I wanna see it,
because,
yeah.
I really want to get your take on it, and I think the viewers would enjoy that.
I think so. Yeah, people keep asking me if I've seen it. People also about our Scanners review is like, we could see why you got kicked off Hack the Movies. You don't know how to keep things. You know,
Who said that?
a bunch of people in the chat and the comments and stuff like that.
What
That was kind of the
comments?
point.
In
You
our
just talked.
comments?
Yeah.
And on the YouTube?
Yep.
I didn't see any of those.
Yeah,
Did you
well,
delete them?
I
Hide them?
hide things that reference those things because
Right.
I don't want more trouble. But I was just like, how about when you're doing like a podcast style thing and it's a group of friends sitting around? Like you're telling me that when you sit down with your friends, everything is completely on topic at all times. No, conversations go off the fucking
Right.
left
Well,
field and
this
stuff
is the
like
thing
that.
I love going off and
Yeah.
talking about other
Yeah, it's-
things, and those are usually the types of reviews I like to watch. And if you don't like them, that's fine. Just don't watch.
Yeah, that's why we try to upfront pretty much tell you what
Yeah.
we thought of the movie.
Right.
Because from that point on, then we can go on our flights of fancy.
Yeah.
Like you guys have more closer reference points to weird old TV shows and books and movies and music than like Metz does or something like that. So we can go off and have this conversation. If I brought up Pia Zadora to Metz would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
She was
I'm
a
gonna-
moment in time.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to beat you to death with your own limbs.
Well, it's like Siskel and Ebert at the movies. It's like us at all of the movies.
At once, yeah.
We're
Yeah.
just having fun. I'm
No,
not making
again-
money off of this. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
I'm
me
having
either.
fun.
No, and that's the whole thing. It's like my favorite thing in the whole world is to just talk about movies with people who also understand what I'm talking. Like, it sucks to realize when you're as you get older that your points of reference no longer are anything. Like I'm trying desperately. The kid who works with me today, he's like 27. And he was just like, oh, 2010, that was so long ago. And I was just like, I'll show myself.
Oh,
out.
Whoa.
Now I'm depressed.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's like that meme with like from Saving Private Ryan where Matt Damon turns into the old man. It's like me realizing how long ago 2010 was, but me even realizing how much longer ago like 1987 was, you know?
Right.
A kid came into the store today and he was looking for a RoboCop thing. And I was like, oh my God, like when I was a kid, my parents took me to see RoboCop in the theater. And they were like, we had no fucking clue because it's called RoboCop. You don't expect it to be what it is. And I was like, yeah, when I was a kid, they used to make the toys because it had a Saturday morning cartoon, just like Rambo did and the Toxic Avenger did and stuff. And they used to have caps in the back of them, and he had a gun. You could be able to shoot caps off. And the kid was like, "What are caps?" And I was like, and I was just like, you know what? Forget it.
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't
they don't
matter."
make that stuff.
No, yeah. Let's get some candy cigarettes and some caps. Over here. You know? Let's play lawn darts.
Right.
No, I don't really fucking care what people
I
say.
mean, there's only like 500,000 other channels on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
to
If you
watch.
don't like us talking about things, or if you don't get the reference, ask in the comments. Ask what the fuck we're talking about. Trust me, I'll go on forever.
Would you like to know more?
Yes, exactly. Like if you said, hey, we want to know more about Invasion of the Rock aliens, I'll review the fuck out of that movie.
It's on YouTube. Watch it.
Yes,
the whole movie's
exactly.
on YouTube. Watch it.
It's that they fly around the giant fucking guitar in outer space, and one dude turns into a fire hydrant, and then a dog pees on him, and Michael Ironside, Michael Berryman's like an escaped serial killer with like a chainsaw, and it's crazy, but it's not King Kong versus Godzilla. And I honestly don't care. Like, honestly, I care about the people who we are friendly with, who watch this channel and who like us. Not that everyone has to like everything we have to say, but like, I am not gonna go and be like corporate chill. Let's be characters now.
Yeah.
Ridge Wallet, you know, Express VPN.
We have to do an ad
Dave,
now.
what do you think about Raid Shadow Legend?
Well, I hear if you sign up now, you can get 50 silver tokens.
Now we have to take a break to do an ad for White Sea Moss or whatever. the show is.
Soylent is that drink or whatever. That shit's disgusting. But no, like again, I read some of the reviews where people are like, stay on target, and I'm like, then go watch somebody else. I don't care.
Red 5, stay on target.
Exactly, yeah.
Stay on
I have
target.
this issue. I won't
I'm
name
Porkins.
the names.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I did
Porkins.
a couple video channel shows with a guy and his friend, and the friend and I would always have fun and go off talking about other stuff, and the other guy's like, let's get back to it, but he was real bitchy about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, again, and all media is subjective. Like your opinion on something is going to be polar opposite. We sat in the same theater, we watched the same movie, but everyone takes something different from it.
Well,
That's
and
what's
why I
magical
used to
about
love
film.
The Cinema Snob, when he used to do the reviews in the car. I mean, he's got a kid now. He obviously doesn't probably have time for that. But I like when him and his friends would be in the car and they would go off because they start talking about other movies too. And I just thought it was fun. You know, it just people.
Oh
have a
my
good
god,
time.
are we plagiarizing that?
I think the world, the entire everybody is done
Because
reviews in cars.
somebody said that I don't remember what review we did. We did it in the car, and you know, one of our Paradise by the Dashboard Light reviews, and people were like, "Oh, you're ripping off that now," and I was like, "What the fuck? I've seen so many." We were doing those when we were Underbelly back in the day, and I was like, no, nobody owns that thing,
Yeah,
you know?
that's just because you just got out of the movie, and this is where you are. And
Yeah.
This is where it's still fresh in your head. You talk about it. That'd be great if we could find a church that's open and late, and we go to the altar.
Forgive me, Father, for we must review this movie. But no, it's like you could watch, if you don't like what we have to say, go watch any of the other fucking review channels or
who
read any
cares?
of the other reviews, and you know, but if... I like just hanging out.
The remote's in your hand. You can
Yeah,
do whatever
yeah,
you-
exactly. You could stop this shit. Just let the ad roll hit so I get that scent.
It's like Tom Atkins watching us. Stop it!
Yeah.
Stop it!
The third channel. That's us. No, all right.
You're gonna bring up the pimp stick and
the guard knows. Pick your poison. Or the third one is you have to watch Heaven's Gate all the way through, but with your eyes like in Clockwork Orange. It all comes back together.
Yeah. I had
you know,
a great time. And
yeah,
I really
giant
later.
fucking monkeys and giant fucking lizards fucking punching each other in the face.
Quick pacing. There are no slow parts. The characters are fun. The jokes are actually funny. It's actually a very well thought out movie.
Yeah.
Big thumbs up. Go see it this weekend and have a great time.
That's right. And what's this? And also, it is weird that it came out the weekend after Ghostbusters, though.
They should have spaced them out.
Yeah,
a little bit
because
more.
there is a whole thing where like they're freezing Rio de Janeiro, and I was just like, it's a little too close.
Well, and they're also Dune. We're at the King of Prussia Theater, and that's playing in IMAX and 70mm, so they're holding on to that for a while.
Yeah.
So not every theaters, if the theaters are still playing that in 70mm, then neither Ghostbusters nor Godzilla multiplied by Kong will be in the IMAX. So I've been noticing that it's you might have to
So
do that.
weird. I don't understand why, because there was such a long period of time where there was nothing in theaters.
And then they put too much out at once.
Exactly, and then you're gonna go into another dead spot and stuff like that. And then
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird, and I understand like putting out Immaculate and Late Night with the Devil as supplemental pieces to the big studio movies, but I was like, I don't get it, man. I don't.
Space it out.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of dead spots this year, and
Yep. Because what the fuck else is coming out?
not much for a while.
But
Well, Phantom Menace.
speaking of timing, there's a scene where Godzilla knocks over a bridge, and you leaned over to me and said, "Is that Baltimore?"
No, Newt said that.
Yeah, I
Newt
was like,
said
Baltimore,
And
no.
then I passed the
Oh,
joke.
okay.
I passed the joke. I didn't want to steal the joke from Newt.
See, I would have just stole it straight out.
Yeah, exactly.
He steals my jokes all the time.
All right, that's it. Godzilla
All right.
versus Kong.
Bye, we love you.
Frozen Empire.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.